Welcome to the December 15th, 2020 episode of Reactive Consciousness, the in-depth podcast about what happened this week in our lives. I'm your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And Dracologist.
And we are going to wish a very happy Hanukkah to everybody. I believe it will still be Hanukkah by Tuesday of this release.
Yeah, the first night was on Thursday, so we're still good.
Awesome. I do not celebrate Hanukkah. However, I did pay homage, Lotus. I made some potato latkes today from scratch.
Nice.
So I know your family still celebrates, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I wanted to wish a very happy Hanukkah because I don't think enough gets said on podcasts like this. So I wanted to make sure you got your due. But we had a lot happen this week. Just a crazy amount of stuff to the point where there was all kinds of announcements across all kinds of very nerdy things. To the point where what we're gonna do is for Reactive Consciousness, we're gonna just go over all the video game stuff because there's just plenty to go over here. But then we'll go over all the other media that had lots of news in it as well later on in Corrective Consciousness this Thursday. That way we can have the time to cover everything. But I mean, off the top, we had the Game Awards. Did you see any of it or hear any of it, either of you?
I mean, I heard a bunch about it because I was in a Discord group where people were posting what was happening and oh, this happened, oh my god, but I didn't actually watch any of it because I don't care. I'm interested in the information, but I'm not watching the Game Awards.
Me too.
I only listened to the...
What was that?
I only want to listen to the various news that came out from it, but people didn't. But
yeah, what? This time the announcements were bigger than the actual awards itself, if you ask me. I mean, if you look at the the actual things that won everything, nothing's very surprising and actually kind of disappointing.
Well, it's like the Oscars,
yeah,
the thing you wanted to win, well, no, I shouldn't say it like that. I should say the thing that wins is kind of what pleases this demographic or whatever or something like that. It's just a bunch of bullshit. It's cool to say that you did win something, but whatever. I'm not gonna buy this game because it won an award at the Game Awards. Either I'm interested in it or I'm not.
The more and more you see this kind of thing, the more and more you realize that it's just a marketing thing for
it's just a corporation circle jerk, just like the Oscars are.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Then, if you want something funny, someone showed me a picture that. The decision on what game it gets the top game award was a 90% jury selection and a 10% pleb, basically.
Yeah.
Actual people.
Yep.
So yeah, it kind of stinks that even the stuff that was in there was against each other. I mean, you had something like Hades, which was by Supergiant Games, which is by admittedly probably a very small team of maybe 20 people at most.
That game is so good.
Versus gigantic AAA titles made by hundreds of people like Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, and Animal Crossing. Those are all huge. And then, the one that wins, of course, is Last of Us Part 2, which famously isn't well received by a lot of people.
Nobody likes this.
Yeah, what's also kind of funny, though, is that I heard it won Best Direction, which, I mean, depending on what that means, but, if that refers to, management of any kind, I know Cyberpunk is the new spotlight of, company that has crunch, but The Last of Us 2 also famously had crunch.
Yeah, I think game direction in terms of this this award ceremony is more cinematics plus story.
Well, I mean that is kind of The Last of Us' bread and butter, though.
Yeah. That's what it means, not management of
literal
actual...
direction.
Yeah.
sorry for making the Undead Soul sound, but they like neither the story nor the cinematic, nothing was in that game was just tolerable.
Yeah, I
No,
don't know.
I still need to play it. My brother
I
loved
haven't
it.
played it, so I can't make a judgment. But from what I understand of it, it's like famously kind of flopped with people as far as like so much so that when it kind of fell off the radar immediately after it came out.
Well, what I heard about it was that a particular character did something early in the game that a lot of people didn't like the way they did it. A lot of people didn't like, and then God only knows about the other 99% of the game. So I don't like. Is the game actually bad? I bet you it isn't.
Yeah.
People say that like the characters are unlikable, and the whole story is bland and goes nowhere. What I
guess what? The characters in The Last of Us 1 were unlikable. Ellie was likable.
Yeah.
Well, what I heard that Joel was trying to become a better person, and like it was his growth to becoming from this curmudgeon bad person to actually relearning something positive.
Well, fair enough, but he went from a piece of shit to a very different kind of piece of shit in The Last of Us 1.
Yeah.
Well, what do you expect from a Naughty Dog game?
Yeah, so like, oh no, the characters were unlikable. It's like, well, that's the point? Show me one good character, like, I guess Joel's first assistant and Ellie, like, there you go, everybody else sucks.
Well, what I find really funny is, like, they have a separate narrative and game direction section, which I don't understand. Like, I guess
they just come something up just to give it.
Those two categories are basically the same thing.
Well, narrative I could see as just like the story, but game direction I could almost see as like I know it doesn't quite make the same kind of sense from a programming perspective, but maybe like cinematography.
Yeah, or maybe even art direction thrown in there as well.
Yeah.
Gray and brown.
No, art direction is its own category. Maybe game direction is all of those things combined. But I don't understand it. Yeah. And it's going up against things like Half-Life Alyx, which everybody's who played it.
Yeah, I was gonna say all 10 people who played it love it.
Yeah. It's weird.
A bit more than 10, but
all of the millionaires who played it loved it.
And they have a most anticipated game category, which I find hilarious.
That doesn't even make sense. What does it mean if you win that? Like
exactly.
It's like Transformers 2 was a piece of dog shit, but everyone anticipated that, you know? Like the movie, I mean.
Well, the funny thing is, like, the ones that are here, there's Elden Ring, which won.
The game that's not out yet won. That's
famously, like all the games here, like barely have any information on Halo Infinite.
Yeah, it's like Elder Scrolls 6. Like, we have a title for you. We have like a literal title card. Oh, that wins an award for anticipated.
Horizon Forbidden West, God of War sequel, because they're just calling it God of War sequel at this point.
This is a really like pointless category.
Resident Evil Village, which we know absolutely nothing about.
Oh, really? I do.
Okay, what do you know about it?
Yeah, wasn't this the werewolf game?
It's going to. We're going into the Village of the Damned numbers.
Yeah, but we don't have a gameplay like trailer or anything, right?
Yeah, and Elden Ring, we don't have jack shit.
Do a little bit. We have a usual trailer snippet, but
we don't have.
Yeah, they don't mean anything. It's
substance.
Like Beyond Good and Evil 2's trailer. What the fuck was that? It was a movie.
Yeah, and it hasn't even come out
a little bit more
yet.
than that.
Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel,
which we got a trailer for like 2 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So like, the funny thing about these is we don't even know if these will even come out next year. Like.
The most anticipated game award
Infinite
is bullshit unless it's a game that finally did come out. Oh, it was so anticipated. Like Cyberpunk should have won that award.
Yeah. It's Cyberpunk easily was the biggest game of this year, but yeah, we'll get back to that later. Score and music, Final Fantasy VII Remake, that deserves it.
I was kind of disappointed though, because on one hand it really is good music, but on the other hand it's covers of quarter of a century old music.
Fair, but also it's still really fucking good.
I know, but it's like
okay. It's unfair, but it's remixes, but they're really fucking good remixes.
Yeah,
I mean, what do you want?
I think that should have went to Doom Eternal. because
Doom Eternal has a great fucking music. It's all original. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they even use a chainsaw as a.
Well, yes, we know that
as a musical instrument.
Gordon, while he was working there, he made a silly thing to synthesize a chainsaw.
So good. Modulated a chainsaw in different in different notes, which is an amazing concept. Audio design, I mean, Last of Us Part 2 again.
I mean, that does make sense.
Yeah. I mean, audio design's probably where that game shines.
Well, and also from what I've heard, it won the the accessibility award. They have a lot of settings that very much cater to different player styles, or color blindness kind of settings and things like that.
So bland.
Yeah, it just stinks because it's why wouldn't it win all that shit? It's just
because paid.
Yeah.
Because money switched hands.
Like you
said,
it's
show the fucking plebs that if we are shitting on them, they should like it.
Yeah, there are plenty of independent games that should have been in here that weren't. I mean, Hades isn't the only one that obviously Hades is the standout indie game, but there are plenty of other games that should have. Even something like Maneater should have made it on here just because it was fun and interesting.
But what would it have won? It was like a B. It was like a
Goofy,
B game.
Awesome, Goofy, awesome.
But no, for real, what award would that have won? Compared to anything that's a mediocre B game that's fun because of its concept. That's not going to win any awards.
By the way,
it's more interesting to me than Last of Us.
Yeah, but I ask again, what award could that possibly win?
Yeah, I know. I don't know.
Fun.
The Hall of Notes.
I mean, I like playing Kingsfield, but that ain't winning jack shit,
Yeah.
Lads.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hello?
What's up?
Sorry, I don't know did I drop out or something?
No.
Oh, I wanted to say that if you're talking about eating people, then there was that game called Carry On.
Oh yeah, the Devolver game.
Yeah, that game did get nominated.
Good thing. It's not my type of game, but I heard it was a really good.
Yeah, clever Metroidvania.
Game.
Yeah, that did get at the indie game nomination, but Hades ended up winning it. But that is on my radar for sure. I want to get it for.
I mean, even from what I've heard though, people quite like Carry On, but
sure,
everyone loves Hades.
Yeah. Hades deserves it too. It's really fucking good.
Good gameplay, if a little bit repetitive, considering it's a roguelite. But everything you do in between the runs is just so fucking charming.
The gameplay is really good too. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, it is. The various combinations you can get, the Binding of Isaac style variations of interacting skills, are really fun. But I think that the fact that it has 4 levels.
Yeah.
It's a little bit narrow, but oh well.
I mean, even RPG is disappointing. I mean, Final Fantasy VII Remake is the biggest RPG of the year in terms of anticipation, but Yakuza Like a Dragon tells a total story. Which
it's not the first fucking disc of its own story.
Exactly. I mean, as cool as Final Fantasy VII Remake is, I even without playing Yakuza Like a Dragon, I think I would want it to win more, just because it's a fully realized game. It does a lot, something completely different with a series that that's never been done before. It's ambitious.
Well, I kind of heard that it's kind of it is less serious when frowning before
and everybody likes it.
Well, Ichiban's more of a wacky protagonist, but the plot is always as serious as other Yakuza games are. But everything that is not the plot is just as stupid as everything else in Yakuza games.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, fighting game, Mortal Kombat 11 one, which I can understand that. Let me see here. I mean, the only thing that could come close is Street Fighter, and more news has been coming out of Mortal Kombat this year, and nothing else comes close to it, honestly. Maybe Samurai Showdown. Samurai Showdown didn't even get on this list. Samurai Showdown was really good this year. I don't know why it didn't. family game Animal Crossing New Horizons absolutely.
Yeah, that's surprising to no one.
It absolutely deserves it. Let me see. Sim strategy game. I mean, Microsoft Flight Simulator absolutely deserves that too. I mean,
that was a shock. They haven't released a flight sim game in like 7 years or something.
Many years. Not since Microsoft's Flight Simulator X, I think, is the last one, and that was like maybe 20 years ago.
It was way longer than I thought. Jeez.
Yeah, I think it's Microsoft Flight Simulator. I think that game is like really old. Well, obviously, but yeah, let me check that out because I think the last one didn't come out until maybe the new millennium.
Damn.
Something like that. Microsoft Flight was the last one. I'm sorry, and it was in 2012.
Oh, so, 8 years. Yeah. Okay, I was close.
You were right. Simulator X came out before that, and that was that's almost as old. I'm not gonna go into that, but yeah, it's crazy, really crazy. But let me see here. What else? One here. This was nice. Sports racing game. Tony Hawk got that, which is pretty cool.
Racing?
Okay.
It's a sport. What else? What other category does that fit into?
Sports certainly.
Racing. I mean, it's more of a combo game.
It's more of a time trial game than a racing game.
Yeah, it's what extreme sports game. I mean that is a sports game.
Hard to categorize, but if you say racing, my first thing would be something like Grip or Forza or something.
Yeah, I mean Dirt was in there. And a lot of people like Dirt 5. Most of the other sports games, I mean FIFA, most people hate. Even though as popular as FIFA is, it got a lot of backlash this year.
You know why?
Because it's very it's very predatory. That game.
Yes.
Yeah.
They basically just turned the whole game into a
microtransactions game. Like up the wazoo.
Yeah.
Multiplayer game Among Us one, which I mean.
Yeah, what a cool game from the year 2020.
But Among Us is like extremely popular and a phenomenon. But I mean, like Fall Guys is a much more like.
Well, Fall Guys is actually from this fucking year.
Yeah.
I mean, like I know Among Us was kind of like discovered for real this year, but it's like that's not a 2020 game.
Honestly, I played it and it's a lot of fun, even if I get constantly vented out.
I mean, they're both fun, but Among Us is from like what 2018.
This is kind of disappointing, but Smash Brothers didn't even get any kind of esports game recognition.
Well, that's because Free Melee, dude. That's the real Smash Brothers.
But yeah, all this esports categories, I don't even know who these people are, because we're old people that are woefully out of this kind of thing. But yeah, I mean this is all the major stuff. But like, I think the fun stuff that came out of this is like a lot of the announcements.
Yeah, so, and speaking of Smash, by the way.
Yeah. The biggest announcement coming out of this was Sephiroth was announced as the new character for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Not unsurprising, but kind of surprising in that like a lot of people were kind of hoping for a new
I mean, like
property.
Final Fantasy VII Remake was released this year, so like it does make sense. But it's been years since Cloud was released. Like, what new franchise is joining? Oh,
yeah, not unsurprising, but also still surprising.
It kind of,
it's kind of weird. Yeah, I mean, I think he's a cool match for and also kind of a fanboy pick. But
yeah,
also,
and the funny thing is, even though I'm far more interested in character reveal trailers than actually playing Smash because I'm done with that game as of years and years ago. The funny thing is, Sephiroth actually seems like a character I might enjoy playing as because I like the big, stupid swords that hit everybody, like with Ike. And Sephiroth's sword is like comically large.
anime swordsman. He's an anime swordsman who got added to.
Yeah.
He's not Fire Emblem, but goddamn, is it close?
He might exceed Fire Emblem. That's sort of stupid long. It's like, really?
Yeah,
where do you put it? You must walk around with it unsheathed, or else it's like you can't put it anywhere.
I mean, Cloud's is way more impractical.
Yeah, and it's a dark day when Cloud's sword is more practical. The one modeled with her guts' sword.
Yeah.
Man, like, makes me think that when there was I think it was a Super Robot Wars game where it was a stupidly large sword held by a mech, so you can imagine how big it was.
Oh yeah, it's like Xenosaga 2. They're just mechs fighting with swords. Like, what are you doing?
I've not lost it.
I mean, I don't know. It was when it came out. It was my initial reaction was meh, but like
the entire internet was blowing up, and I was like, oh cool, it's a franchise we've already explored like 5 years ago.
Yeah. It wasn't something that like oh shit, like Terry Bogard, like oh shit, Terry Bogard.
Yeah, this was more like, oh, they finally brought him in. Okay.
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
like if they brought in Geese. Oh, there he is. I was waiting for him.
Yeah. It's like like I want Dio from Holy Diver. Come on, put him in.
Yeah, okay. I want Ronnie James Dio from the Holy Diver music video to join Smash.
Yes, I do.
Where he has his Castlevania walk. Wearing his caveman, like Conan the Barbarian outfit.
Where's my IREM representation here? I see none.
Oh, what's that? You want Keith from Disaster Report to join the fray? Where his actions are trying not to get hit by the background.
Trying not to die.
Yeah.
If that would be so disrespectful if they got a main character from Disaster Report.
Yeah, Disaster Report's instruction manual
like...
actually ends with like real life safety tips, like in the event of an earthquake.
Yeah, that would be really bad taste.
Snake Logan for Smash.
Yeah.
Snake Logan, that name's familiar.
Biomenace.
His first name was Snake?
Yeah.
I remember Logan.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Snake Logan.
With his big porn stash.
Yeah.
Porn stash and mullet.
Yes, and mullet. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Wow. But yeah.
I don't think he has a porn stash. It's just a big bushy, like a, what do you call it? The PI, Magnum PI.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Moving on from that, Capcom had two really interesting announcements. So, a new Ghosts and Goblins game out of fucking nowhere.
Ooh, nice.
Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection.
It looked kind of like an iPhone type of game.
Yeah, the art style is weird. It looks kind of like a Vanillaware game almost. Mixed with just like kind of cheapy 2D animated kind of stuff. And that's kind of a shame because like one of the coolest things about Ghosts and Goblins is the way it looks and sounds. What was going on screen looked really cool though. Like the scenarios that you were in. I just wish that you why didn't you just make this pixel art? I don't understand. Or even just
trying
like
to move away from that a little bit.
I'm sorry.
Everything, like the pixel art has become the indie developer stuff.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
That's what that was. This looks like a mobile title. It looks like off-putting.
Yeah, but there was some cool stuff.
So.
You know that boss that like in Ghouls and Ghosts that like takes off his head and like kind of shoves it at you.
Yeah.
There's like a version of him with two bodies that passes around the head.
That's clever.
Yeah,
I like those type of bosses.
Yeah. That weird boss from Ghouls and Ghosts that we were really battling. The one that's below you that you have to kind of take off piece by piece.
What, the one that has like the worms coming out of it?
Yeah, exactly.
By far the worst boss in the entire game.
100%.
The giant
he
sort of fish demon or something.
What was that?
Just something giant fish demon.
Yeah.
It's almost a shoot 'em up with a boss.
Yeah.
That boss is the worst.
He's very similar. He reminds me of the gigantic ship in R-Type, like that kind of boss.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the art style's the worst thing about it. Everything else looks really good about it. So I'm optimistic.
I got a question.
Sure.
Do they kind of mix up the mechanics a little bit, or we stuck with the same thing
I think they're making it less brutal in terms of like restarts and kind of. I think the levels are supposed to be pretty long too.
Also, maybe more checkpoints or something.
Yeah, something like that. I think it's gonna have. I mean, why wouldn't they do this? Like incorporate some kind of Dark Souls element because like it is the original kind of Dark Soulsy kind of game.
Honestly, you know what I would like to see? Game that implements the similar saving system that Ori and the Blind Forest had.
Oh, where you make up your own save point, but you need enough energy to do it.
Yes,
yeah,
and like you would use like destroyed enemies would give you some pips of energy.
Yeah, that is a clever idea.
Yeah, we'll see. The art style is definitely like the worst thing about this game. It looks pretty good otherwise. I definitely challenge people to like watch the trailer and other than the art style, like just put that out of your mind.
Yeah, it clearly looks like a Ghouls and Ghosts game.
Yeah, I mean everything else looks pretty awesome about it, so I was excited.
Or Ghosts and Goblins, whatever.
Yeah, considering that the last Ghosts and Goblins game was like on the PSP, you know.
And even then, wasn't it like a remake of something?
No, it was a completely.
It was actually
game.
new. Okay.
Yeah, it was Ultimate Ghouls and Ghosts. But
well, I guess now it's penultimate Ghouls and Ghosts.
It was, wasn't it? And it may be in the future not be penultimate Ghouls and Ghosts.
Yeah, I learned just today actually. Like I already forgot what the words are, but there are words for like third to last, fourth to last. But it's like there comes a point where it's just like, why are you saying this? It's like more syllables than it would take just to say third to last.
But it's also meaningless at some point. Like. Who cares?
Yeah, there's like 4 prefixes. Like, shut up.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah, like the various Japanese fighting games.
What
was Melty Bloodhead or like something?
But yeah, moving on from that, the big thing that I was like super excited about was Capcom Arcade Stadium. So Capcom every once in a while comes up with a really cool arcade collection. Probably the last one that they did, I think, was the Beat 'em Up collection, which was awesome. It was really, really good. And that featured every beat 'em up that they made Final Fight on, I think. If I remember right, it had every single beat 'em up they had ever made except for the Dungeons and Dragons games, which had its own collection of, just a couple years before that. But yeah, that was like a really awesome collection. But I was kind of upset about the Capcom like joysticky thing that it didn't have Aliens vs. Predator. I forgot about that. But yeah, let me see here. This new collection that they announced was called Capcom Arcade Stadium, and it has I think how many games on here? It has 33 games, something like 32 games, which is really good. And what they're doing is they're gonna do a similar thing to the one that they did on the arcade collection for the PS3 and Xbox 360. It was called the Capcom Arcade Cabinet, where you buy in like you buy them in little chunks. You get the game for free with one game, but then if you want more games, you buy them in chunks. And I'm gonna buy them all obviously because I'm a big Capcom fan. And this is for Switch, yeah. But there are some really, really good titles and deep cuts here that have never gotten ports, to my knowledge, other than that weird Capcom arcade joystick. So I really want to put forth that this is like a really good collection that you should support. It has every Capcom 1942 game, except for 1943 Kai, which was on the last collection. But this is really unusual because 1944 and 19XX have never been ported to my knowledge. These games are insanely good. 19XX might be one of my favorite shmups of all time. It's really, really good. And until now, you had to play it on MAME. There's like really no other way to play it. So
Nice.
this is really crazy and good. Really awesome stuff. There are plenty of other titles. So it has 1941, 1942, 1943, 1944, and 19XX. They never made a 1945 because I guess for obvious reasons, the end of the war. Yeah, they jumped to 19XX after that. But Double X.
Yes, I do remember in the Second World War when they had the Allied forces and the German forces.
Yeah, you know what's really funny about the series is that
just
it's
wanted to say that when those forces fought giant
mechs.
flying fortresses.
Yeah. giant
Dreadnoughts in the sky.
Stuff. Yeah. Like 1945 would be an interesting one, but anyway, I think it's just kind of funny that this is a series made by a Japanese company where you're Americans shooting down Japanese planes. That's bizarre to me.
Well, I'm just kind of reminded, like, this is from a long time ago, like over a decade, like probably back in college or something. There was one particular, like, Yahtzee review, Zero Punctuation. I don't remember what the game was, but it was a game made by, like, I think Germany or something, where you're playing as, like, Allied forces in World War II or something, and, like...
kind of a self-hating game.
But yeah, there were other games like that had come out, like, relatively recently, like a Japanese one where you're playing as Allied forces, and I remember Yahtzee was like, what is with all these, like, Axis powers, like, former Axis powers releasing Allied supporting games? Like, is this community service? It was just, like, a really funny line to me.
Yeah, I guess they realized that, it would be a very unpopular stance to take that like the Allies were not the good guys.
No, I don't even mean that. I mean the idea that they would do like a World War II game at all, where they're just like, let's make a game where you play as the Allies. It's like, you didn't have to do that. Like, it's just, like I like the game, it's fun, but it's weird. And Dracologist just pointed out it was Velvet Assassin from Germany and Valkyria Chronicles from Japan. That wasn't literally World War II, but it's very obviously an allusion to World War II.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, it's just like, what is this? Like, these Axis powers are releasing these, like, World War II games where the Axis powers are the bad guys. Like, okay, thanks, I guess.
Honestly, my favorite line from the Valkyria Chronicle review was like, protecting your 7-acre wood from mean old farmer Hitler.
Yeah, pretty much.
That line was floored me.
Yeah. So what other games are here? You have Battle Circuit, which is a game that had never been ported until that beat 'em up collection that I
that's
just
a good
mentioned.
game, if I recall.
What was that?
That one. Battle Circuit it has that very comic
and
style graphic, and
I think it was the last beat 'em up that Capcom, a 2D beat 'em up that Capcom ever made. It's really pretty crazy. I think it's a 4-player beat 'em up too. It's really fun but really nutso. It's really cool. Then Bionic Commando, the arcade version of that's not very good. Captain Commando, which is a really fun game. I like that quite a bit. Carrier Airwing, I never really played that one. Commando, that's a classic. Cyberbots, which is really fun. That is a 2D fighter. Dynasty Wars has never gotten a console release since the PC Engine, so this is, and it's confusingly it's named similarly to Dynasty Warriors and tells the same story as Dynasty Warriors, but it's not Dynasty Warriors. It's called Dynasty Wars.
That's a beat 'em up as well, right?
Yeah. I
think I saw that one.
So Dynasty Wars is the predecessor to another beat 'em up that was in the Capcom beat 'em up collection.
Oh, Samurai Wars?
No, it was called Warriors of Fate. Yeah, it was called Warriors of Fate.
Yeah, I saw those.
So, but
Hyrule Wars?
The original one had never been released, so this is really interesting. It's actually based off of a manga. It's the same manga that they named Destiny of the Emperor after. It's called Tenchi Yo Kurao. It's not very popular in the United States, that's all. So, but yeah, Final Fight for the millionth time. Come on. I'm not excited about that at this point. Final Fight's always welcome, but geez. Forgotten Worlds, which is a good choice. It's a shmup with an economy, which is always pretty fun. You collect Zenny in that title, kind of like you collect Zenny.
Yeah, so it's a Mega Man Legends universe
Legends.
game.
Yeah.
Ghosts and Goblins and Ghouls and Ghosts, which absolutely deserve to be on there.
Yeah, Ghouls and Ghosts hasn't really. How many times has Ghouls and Ghosts been ported?
Ghouls and Ghosts has been on a few collections.
Okay.
Yeah, this is far from.
All right, because I'm more accustomed to seeing like Super Ghouls and Ghosts being ported.
Well, usually when they port it, they port the first two games and sometimes the third game, Super Ghouls and Ghosts. It depends, but they're let me see here. It was on Capcom Generation 2, which was on the PlayStation 1. It was also on Capcom Classics Volume 1 on PlayStation 2 and Xbox.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been around. And it was on Capcom Home Arcade. So there you go. Yeah, the Capcom Home Arcade, the joysticky thing.
Yeah, the joystick thing that spells the word Capcom.
Yeah, I'm so glad I don't have to buy that.
Question.
Yeah.
There was that game, I don't know what, Metal Mayhem or Mech Mayhem, I don't know, that was another beat 'em up game that was like a free player mech-based combat.
Yes.
What? Is that on too?
Yeah, so what you're referring to is Armored Warriors.
That's the one.
Yeah, which is the predecessor to Cyberbots, which I just mentioned. It is called something else on this collection though.
Oh, what, they changed the name for the home version?
Yeah,
like Soul Edge versus Soul Blade or something?
Power Gear.
Yeah, it's called Powered Gear on this collection, but it's the same game. So one of the cool things about this collection is it's also including all the Japanese ROMs, which I don't think they've ever done before. They've never included both. Capcom usually only includes the version of your region. So that's pretty cool, actually. That's a new one for them. Hopefully a good practice. So you can pick which version. Usually for like tournament play or like score play, especially like something like a Final Fight or something like that, you want to play the Japanese version because it's geared towards that. Like Japanese arcade games, a lot of times were made harder when they were brought to the US so they could quarter munch you. And like the Japanese versions could be in many more cases mastered if you were really good at it and you could one credit them. So here's a big surprise. They included Gigawing, which hasn't been ported since the Dreamcast. Gigawing is like a really fun shmup that never really got its due past the Dreamcast. So it sounds
familiar.
Yeah, it's really fun. I think it is a CPS2 game. On their CPS2. Yeah, I think it's CPS2, which is Capcom Play System 2. Yeah, I think that's what that one is. But moving on from that, Gigawing's a good one. It's a really good shmup that never gets ported. Then there's Legendary Wings, which hasn't had a port in a long time. That one's really fun. It kind of has like a platform and shmup element. Mega Twins, which is kind of similar to Wonder Boy, the Wonder Boy series. I really enjoy that. Pirate Ship Hinge Maru, which is a fun puzzler overhead game. Power Gear, which I just mentioned, and Pro Gear. Oh my god, Pro Gear. So, do either of you know what Pro Gear is?
Nope.
Okay. So, Pro Gear is a game made by Cave before they made a lot of This is in between them making like the second and third Donpachi games. So this is a really famous shmup that never got ported. So this is something that you had to go to MAME for, unless you had original arcade hardware. So this was famously something that you would play at MagFest because it was usually the only place you could play it. So this is really cool. It was their only horizontal scrolling shooter until Death Smiles came out, which was much later. Section Z, which is a personal favorite of mine. That's another shmup. Senjo no Okami 2. I have no idea what that is. Have no idea. Oh, why are they naming the Japanese name of this? So this is Mercs. Mercs is very much the sequel to Commando. So that's really good. It's Wolf of the Battlefield, I think is what that means. Yeah, Okami. Yeah, that would make sense. Three different versions of Street Fighter 2, World Warrior, Hyper Fighting, and Turbo. So, whatever your favorite version of that is. The original Strider, Tataki no Banka. Tatakai no Banka. What is Tatakai no Banka? Oh, Trojan. It's called Trojan in the U.S. Which is, kind of a... It came out around the same time as Ghosts and Goblins. It's a game where you fight with a sword and shield. Varth, which is a shmup game. Vulgus, which is their first game, if I'm not mistaken. And Warriors of Fate. Warriors of Fate. I don't know Warriors of Fate. Oh yeah, that's the one we just talked about on the beat 'em up, right? Warriors of Fate, yeah,
yes.
Beat 'em up collection. So yeah, this one is Leagues.
Three Kingdom beat 'em up.
Yeah, it's a Dynasty Warriors beat 'em up. It is Leagues like more advanced than the first game is Dynasty Wars. Yeah, so yeah, really good stuff. I'm really looking forward to this. There are a couple beat 'em ups that aren't on here that Capcom. I wish Capcom would get the rights to, but they're very famously copywritten concerns. Like there's the Punisher, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. There's Aliens vs Predator. Yeah, those are all their big beat 'em ups that they have never gotten really their due. Let me see what else. Oh, I just kind of wanted to talk about Cyberpunk just because it's such a weird launch.
It was a launch, at least. It wasn't just another pushback, so you can't complain on that.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't
yes,
know.
you can.
I mean, they could. This game could have marinated for longer. I mean, obviously they wanted to get this out before the holidays. Before.
I heard it's a little bit buggy, but it's not. So far, what I heard, it's not game-breaking. But the only real complaint that I am willing to accept that was legit was the one that there is a part where you have strobe lights on the screen, which inevitable, and there it was no option to turn it off.
Oh yeah,
that
the epilepsy.
Well, the main complaints I heard,
warning.
I mean, from what I've heard, there are a lot of like funny bugs and glitches in the game.
Yeah,
but I heard if you have it on PS4 or whatever the hell the PS4 equivalent of Xbox is called, because fuck
Xbox
all of those
One.
titles.
Xbox One.
Apparently, like that's where the real problems lie, because this was not designed for the now previous gen.
Yeah.
Like I heard that I don't know about Microsoft, but I heard Sony was actually offering refunds to PS4 purchasers if they got the digital version.
Yeah, that's the major concern that I heard, that it runs super poorly on previous gen, which is really a shame because they were priding themselves in getting everything to work on everything, but like a lot of the journalists anticipated this because they heard no hide nor care on and they didn't see any preview builds, or even when they were given review copies, nobody was given previous gen copies. So that's a problem. Usually that's a telling sign, and it turned out to be true.
Yeah, and their stock dropped by CD Projekt Red stock dropped by like something like absurd, like 23% or something.
Well, that's not a reflection of the game. That's more of a reflection of that's the way kind of stocks work a lot of times. Is like you'll see like a big build up to a major event, and then it will fall off a cliff. That happens in with other types of companies. A big movie will come out for a movie studio, and then their price will go down because what else do you have to look forward to? This was the thing that we're looking forward to. In terms of what are they going to be be after this? You have no idea. This is
Cyberpunk 2078.
Yeah, they're just working on DLC for this.
And polishing, probably.
There's a
working out the kinks.
Yeah, there's a lot of discourse on this game too that I don't.
I think.
Go ahead.
I think those who wanted to play it will play it, and those who wanted to hate it will hate it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not discounting a lot of intelligent people's actual opinions on it that have played it. There's plenty of people that have legitimate opinions on gender discussions and
please
and trans issues. I think those are real issues that are legitimately being discussed.
This is we are in Cyberpunk. The whole everything you can practically put the drill bit on, put a cybernetic drill bit into your penis or whatever. You can transition. You can be a female with this 9-inch nails dick, but I'm not sure. There are people who will never be happy in whatever you put in the games. So
I think the main discussion is going on whether it was done in good faith, which I'm not necessarily convinced it was.
The bullying CDPR 4 is including was the start of the bullying. They wanted to why is not this and that is not in this game, and they put it in, they are asking even why it's not more. It's
I think it's more the advertising's really kind of sick. The way that a trans woman is very clearly very clearly being fetishized in a really kind of gross way in the advertisements for the drink.
This is Cyberpunk.
Yeah,
remember
but the problem is that this is not just a periphery in the game; it's forefront. So that's an issue. And also, I don't think the game is very Cyberpunk. Honestly, that's actually been my reaction to the entire game. If you watch the trailers, there's bumping techno music.
The thing is, from what I've seen, because I haven't played the game because I don't have a computer that's really ready for it, and I'm not fucking getting the PS4 version. But from what I've seen, it's basically it's kind of like a Deus Ex kind of game, but Deus Ex, it's all about the augmented people and everything, but that isn't Cyberpunk,
Well, see, Cyberpunk is the future version of noir. It's what it should be, right? The world is a crap sack, and technology's only making it worse. Technology is adding to the the fascist oppression of the people. Is one of the biggest themes that's explored in Cyberpunk. I've read several of the Cyberpunk texts that start everything. I've read when dreams
do androids dream of electric sheep?
Yeah, do androids dream of electric sheep, Neuromancer, and Snow Crash. I've read all three of those books. the founding texts of Cyberpunk as it is, and it is really very similar to noir and hard-boiled detective fiction, which Deus Ex actually gets, and so does Human Revolution. Human Revolution was actually really good at that. It was
Wait, which Deus Ex? The first one?
The original
the first
Deus
one
Ex.
and the third one, in particular, are really good at exploring those themes.
I mean, they at least had the idea of like the mega corporations that like are immune to all of the problems of the world, whereas you get like just everyone who's not part of the super rich is just like living by like burning trash cans and shit.
Yeah, and also they explored the themes that like even though that everybody is getting augmented and like getting their bodies built up, they're still not happy. They're still not being fixed. They're still in pain. They're still
that in Human Revolution, it was more of like there started getting to the point of like like segregation, like anti-aug stuff. In the original Deus Ex, you were just a straight up badass and that was it. But then again, you were like a government project. Like if like the thing with the original Deus Ex is if you saw your coworkers, Anna Navarra and Gunther Hermann, like they're older models, and like they're not in pain, crumbling. But they're just they're not being updated. Like you could tell a mile away, oh, that's a cyborg. Whereas you are one too, but you can easily pass for human as long as you have your sunglasses on.
Well, like it's like metal and flesh have combined into a
well, you are nanograde
in the terms of those characters.
What was that, Dracologist?
JC is a nanograde augment, and the others are common cyber.
Yeah, like Adam Jensen in Human Revolution, for example, had to wear long sleeves at all times because he's got these robot arms.
Big hulking arms. Yeah, exactly. I guess my problem with Cyberpunk 2077 is that like Cyberpunk is supposed to be intentionally somber and oppressive, and like it seemed too nimble for that.
It's a little bit more pep, and
exactly.
That's all.
And people aren't supposed to be happy and having a good time in Cyberpunk literature.
And that's what the drugs for, Lotus is vice.
Yeah, but like that's part of the torture of being alive in that fictitious era is like everybody's addicted to drugs, and if you aren't, you're a cyborg and you're in pain, or you're being crushed by authoritarian corporations. Those are all like big things in Cyberpunk, and I just don't get the vibe. It's not the right vibe for me. And
that actually does kind of remind me, by the way, the reason I said Deus Ex didn't feel very Cyberpunk. I guess the universe is, but you're working for the corporation in both games.
Yeah, but
so like you have like
but the
best of that the world has to offer.
But also the corporation isn't seen in the best light by the end of the game either.
No, it isn't, especially in the original game. Yeah. But like you're not really feeling the oppression of the people. You're kind of like, oh, like it's this awakening, like, oh, these people have it pretty bad. Whereas in Cyberpunk, I think you are one of the downtrodden.
Yeah, and also in Cyberpunk 2077, somebody pointed out like you get street cred for helping the cops in this game, which is like what? Like
I could easily see you getting some kind of cred for helping the cops, like some kind of perk. But yeah, like you'd think that the regular randos would hate you for that.
Well, like in most Cyberpunk literature, cops are as bad or working for the corporations.
Well, they're working. They are the man.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there are very few. I mean, in Blade Runner, the main character is, of course, a law enforcement person, but they're also seen as not having the moral right in Blade Runner.
Well, not to mention his one job was to hunt down what were perceived to be hunter-killer robots. He wasn't oppressing the people.
Yeah, but he's oppressing robots. He's oppressing androids, and that is the problem that the Blade Runner movies bring up. Is that like?
Well, yeah, like how like what counts as human versus not at that point?
Yeah, you're basically being Hitler to them. you're killing them, and enslaving them. So yeah, I mean, like, the police are seen as a force of bad in almost all of cyberpunk literature, and you're getting street cred from them in Cyberpunk 2077.
Well, I could see getting street cred from them. Just it would.
Well, depend. Like there are 3 starts for the game, isn't it? Like the 3 precursor, and like you can one of the corporate, the drifter, etc.
Yeah, that
et
sounds
cetera.
right.
And
Yeah.
I think, and each of them has, I guess, has various factions stand differently to your, like they start out as your enemies or your friends, depending.
Yeah.
And like as you play the game, these these alignments will change probably.
Yeah,
through events and action missions.
I could see being allowed to being allowed to ally yourself with the cops as a faction. I think that makes sense. That does make sense in that context, because like that they are a major force in most cyberpunk stuff. You're fighting against corporations, police, the government, all these things that are supposed to be bigger than you.
You're basically doing a whole city level takeover eventually.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of Saints Row and like Grand Theft Auto in that regard.
Yeah.
Only done by people who are not the complete psychopaths, but oh well.
I guess my major take on this is, number one, I'm not touching this game at all until I have a new system. That's number one.
Yeah, same. I want to be confident that it'll run.
Number two, I would want to play it when it's all fixed up, because it's buggy as shit.
It probably will. Don't worry. This is CD Projekt Red.
No, I mean, of course it will, but it isn't now.
Yeah, they do refine their games.
Yeah, once you get a rig that runs it, it's probably going to be fixed at that point.
Sure. I mean, their Witcher titles have spoken for themselves, in that regard.
Yep.
But I also want the discourse to cool on this, because everybody's like really hot about it right now, and I want to just drink in the eventual opinion of it, which like the non-knee-jerk opinion of it.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually I may not. Depending on how this game is seen overall, it may like kind of disgust me. It has the potential for that, so I may not even play it at all. So I'm gonna let it all hash out. That's the way I feel. Even though this is like the most anticipated game of the year, it's just some of the stuff is off-putting. I mean, moving on. Just want to get to the end here, because there are a couple other things that I wanted to talk about. All the mainline Yakuza games are now on Xbox and PC.
Yeah, that's wild.
Which is the Kenzan games, not like the original Yakuza 1 and 2, but come on.
Kiwami games, not Kenzan.
Oh, you know what I mean.
Kenzan was like, what, the PSP titles or something?
Yeah, no, you're right. The Kiwami games, I'm sorry. So that's really awesome, and it also shows that Xbox and Microsoft and Sega are really bridging that relationship, which is really, really cool. Which keeps making me think that maybe there's an interest on Microsoft's end there, but who knows. Also, Microsoft announced a new Perfect Dark game. They kind of just teased it, which is pretty cool. I mean, I think Microsoft should be...
That's an old game in the series.
Yeah, I mean, like, Perfect Dark... It's been a long time since Perfect Dark Zero on the Xbox 360, which was a launch game that nobody liked.
Yeah.
So, I mean, another stab at it, plus, like, Microsoft should be, trying to gather as many of its properties that it can, its unique properties that it can, because until they have the kind of exclusives that Sony has, Sony's still gonna have the leg up on them, which is I am interested in both new systems, but I mean, obviously, I would pick up a PS5 before I pick up an Xbox Series X at this point. Also, Disco Elysium: The Final Cut was announced for next year, which is the version that's going to all the consoles. I am excited to play this game. I really want to play it because of the buzz it got when its original release came out. Have you heard much about these games?
Not really, just that people like that.
I know about the Disco Elysium, yes.
Did you get a chance to play it, Dracologist?
Not my type of game.
Gotcha. Well, I'm looking forward to it. It looks cool. And I think this is the last major thing that I want to bring up. Paprium,
this was the weirdest thing ever.
Fan-made beat 'em up that got announced in 2015. Pre-orders went up for it back then. And famously, people thought they had absconded with their money because they had.
It was 2017, wasn't it?
2017 as well. They first announced in 2015.
Okay.
But they famously didn't update for a really long time. Didn't give out updates or anything like that. This just happened today. As of this recording, this was Sunday, the 13th. But all of a sudden, everybody who pre-ordered it is getting a shipping notification. Not like oh, there's an update. Like, oh, it's done.
Yeah, I thought it was like spam. I didn't even recognize the name of the company, and I clicked it, and it's like that thing you pre-ordered is shipping. I'm like, what the fuck? And I had to look at what it was.
So this company is famous for making Pure Solar. Before this, they make other like fan-made games for old systems. This is a Genesis title that supposedly has its own chipset. Like, so you probably wouldn't be able to play it on like FPGAs or like flash cartridges because it has its own hardware. I forgot about this. I had also pre-ordered the joystick.
Oh jeez.
So like I had like over $200 on the line, and I totally forgot. But like, people famously couldn't even because it was a pre-order and they had already gotten our money and it had been so far out, people couldn't even file PayPal disputes to get their money back. So a lot of people just thought they had run away with everybody's money because there have been like multiple videos on this entire topic. I'm not going to get into all of the drama around it, but like the guys who were making it basically fucked off and didn't talk to anybody. Didn't give anybody any updates or anything. So to actually, get the game, like everybody, like out of nowhere, like it wasn't like, hey, this is coming. They came out with a big press release or something like that, or a big announcement. Everybody got a shipping notification.
Yeah, I honestly, I forgot that I pre-ordered it. I thought it was some sort of Kickstarter backing, so when I saw the link, I was like, oh, they want me to pay for something? I don't know if I want to do this. And then I saw that I'd already paid for it.
Like, and you already paid for shipping, too. You didn't have to pay a cent. You just have to update your address.
Yeah, that was so weird.
Now. What's really funny is when I pre-ordered it, I had sent it to my parents' address, just 2 addresses, 3 addresses ago at this point. For me, I own my own house now, so, Jesus Christ. And, this is supposedly, a beat-em-up to rival, Streets of Rage 2. Well, we'll see about that. But,
I know.
Nothing, matches up to Streets of Rage 2, really. Streets of Rage 4 was quite good.
Bare Knuckle 3 comes close.
Is this the Eon Must Die game?
Yeah, Bare Knuckle 3, Final Fight 3 is really good. There's some other really good beat-em-ups out there as well, like Scott Pilgrim, stuff like that. But in terms of just pure awesome greatness, Streets of Rage 2 is the pinnacle. Just based off of style and control and everything, music, obviously. It's the pinnacle of everything that's good before you can move on to something that has like RPG elements or something like that. So, to say that you're going to beat that, you should be aspiring to be like it. You shouldn't be trying to beat it, because like you're gonna, in all likelihood, you're gonna fail.
Like, the question is what makes a good cheesy beat 'em up, and you should be following the steps of the.
Yeah, I mean, there's
like,
plenty of
on the shoulder of giants, as the saying goes.
Yeah, exactly. You should be emulating things like Double Dragon Neon, which is a great modern beat 'em up. There's plenty of good modern beat 'em ups out there. Especially now, there's actually quite a few pretty fun ones. But this is really interesting. I guess Lotus and I will have to come back on this once we have our copies.
So
in our hands.
Weird.
It's so bizarre. I'm getting a free manga with it too. Apparently.
Yeah, I have no memory of this.
I didn't order the manga. I guess they're giving it to everybody who pre-ordered it. But like everybody on Twitter's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, it was very funny.
Like
Google Paprium.
Just go on YouTube. There's an over an hour long documentary about how these people like supposedly fleeced everybody. And they kind of did even though we're getting the game, they still kind of fleeced us. I mean,
yeah.
Denying people the communication for something that they poured money into is just wrong. And it's just bad. It's bad customer service. It's bad everything. I mean, we don't even know if this game will be good. But we're getting it, which that's something we never thought we were gonna get.
We did get the thing, or we will get the thing we paid for.
Is there even some sort of visual representation of this game or something?
Yeah.
Only on
website.
Like the preview page, like back when you backed it. This is what we're trying to make.
Yeah,
there hasn't been one update since, which is why I didn't even recognize the company when it popped up in my email out of nowhere today.
Yeah, I mean, most of the stuff that has been promoting this game was actually like teaser footage. It wasn't actually like.
Yeah, it was like what we aspire to make from like 3 years ago. It was bizarre.
It wasn't actually in engine or anything. Yeah, it's really bizarre. And I got this really cool looking fight stick, which is bananas to me. I forgot. I thought these people had absconded with my money for just the game, but they absconded with my money for the controller, the joystick too. So I can't believe they're shipping that. Like
this looks very kooky.
What's up?
This looks very kooky.
It does, but like I don't.
Following...
all these were mock-ups. Like all the stuff that you're looking at, like on their website, was mock-up at the time. This wasn't in engine.
We really don't know what the game looks like.
We don't. They could be sending us a cardboard box with nothing in it. Honestly, but why bother if that was the case? Because everybody thought that we kissed our money goodbye at this point. So
better be optimist a little bit. Maybe it's at least an easy, enjoyable game.
I mean, I assume it will be. It's just this is so bizarre.
Yeah, it's just a weird turn of events. Something that we never thought would happen, and what to expect? I don't know whether this game will work. Like I don't know whether it'll be any good. I don't know whether it'll be functional. What is this? But yeah,
it's a video game.
What's up?
It's a video game.
Yeah, it is a video game. But I think that's all I have for video game stuff this week. Anything else, gentlemen, that you want to bring up before we wrap things up?
I don't think so.
I finished Ultra Kill, the current Disney build.
Oh
Hooray.
Yeah, Ultra Kill that's one of the boomer shooters that's out now, right?
Yeah, it's not exactly a boomer shooter. It's a shooter, all right, but it's a little bit more trickier than that. It's more like feels like someone took this high-speed version of Devil May Cry and put it into a first-person shooter.
Which one is this? The one with the
punch, the one where you can punch back projectiles.
Oh, okay, yeah. It kind of looks like Quake. Yeah, okay.
It has a very PS graphics.
Yeah, no, I like this game a lot. I played a bit of it, and I got up to the point where you could fight that guy with the big sword at the beginning of the game.
The chainsaw sword.
Yeah, that was it. This game rules. I really like this game.
I've finished it. Prepare your ass for a fucking... Like, there is 2 fight that is very difficult if you are just starting out.
Yeah, it is
like
brutal. It's really hard. But I really like the whole aesthetic that blood is fuel. Yeah, it's very like a farewell to the flesh kind of thing. You know, like it's like Videodrome almost. Like it's I don't even know.
Not exactly.
Yeah, but like the phrasing, like blood is fuel, hell is full. I don't know. It's like very. I don't even know what the word for it would be. It's just like
mantra, I would say.
Yeah, Lotus, I think you would really like this game. But I would certainly wait until the early access status is over because I'm sure they'll keep updating this game.
Well, it basically goes. The game level design is basically goes through the Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy Inferno part. So we have the levels are Limbo, an introduction part, a Limbo, Lust, and what was it called? Gluttony is currently prepared, and those are. And you can expect more. Like the recent update that is coming, will have Greed.
Oh wow! So, are they doing all 7 deadly sins or just some of them?
I think they're doing the various levels of the
circles of hell. Yeah.
The circles of hell.
Yeah. Maybe they'll end it with killing Judas.
Judas, Brutus, and Cassius.
Know, but...
Yeah.
You will have to play through yourself to know some story like that. I just don't know what the motivation will the main character is because he doesn't have any kind of like.
Doesn't have any personality.
No, he doesn't have any dialogue. He doesn't have any too much personality. He seems to be interested in some information on what's going on. The world itself seems to have a story of its own. The bad guys who are facing you seem to have a story of their own.
Even that guy with the chainsaw sword seems to have something going on with him. Like he has purpose in the game, right?
He's the least of your worries, actually.
Yeah, well, he was just interesting. He was very iconic when you first saw him. Like he's the first major villain.
You'll meet some interesting stuff. Trust me.
Yeah, no, this is a cool title.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've seen the trailers. Like there is a power up that allows you to dual wield weapons. Now this guy was like, okay, how we make this more interesting? You can pick up multiples of dual wielding, which adds a new arm for each.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Up to you can wield 4 or 6 weapons at once.
So yeah, my normal take on this is I will buy a game on early access if it's really well received or it's super cheap. So I picked it up I think when it was on sale, but I certainly don't want to run through it if I know it's going to get major updates because I'll lose my motivation.
It's almost like a shareware version. When you finish Doom 1, you can it has sort of that type of end. It has a clear barrier when next episode is incoming, so don't worry. You're not going to fall into a giant wall of the game's end.
Sure.
Also, there is another game that is coming out that I want to get at some point. It's called Graven, and that game has its demo out. Next to, if you like Vrat, you're going to like this one as well.
Huh.
It's more Hexen-like.
Graven, huh? Is that with a K?
Graven. grave, was something you dig into people into, and Raven like the bird.
Yeah. No, this one's made by actual 3D Realms, right? Or it's actually published by them. Oh, so yeah, it looks like Hexen. Yeah. This looks like fun. It looks like it has like contiguous worlds like Hexen does, right?
Yep.
Oh, okay, sweet.
Something like that.
Yeah, it'll have like Metroidvania elements. It looks like. I'm excited for that. I've been wondering when that kind of thing would return. Yeah, these boomer shooters have been awesome lately. Anything else before we wrap things up, though? We should get going. Nope.
Lotus?
Nah, I said no the first time.
Alright.
Okay.
That is the show for this week. Please remember to subscribe to the Corrective Consciousness YouTube and Soundcloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs up, 5-star ratings on iTunes, and likes. It helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Thursday for our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, where we will be going over some other media news events for this week. Finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on pretty much anything.
You can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, or getting in conversations with me and other patrons on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
Nice recovery there, Lotus.
What a save. You'd never even notice.
I did.
And I don't know why you want to find me, but you can find me on Steam, Skype, and Discord.
You know where to find me.
No, you don't.
Find him on Discord. Alright, thanks everybody, and we'll catch you on Thursday.
Until next time, everyone.
Bye-bye.